Sometimes to truly make a change, you have to do something big, something dramatic, and something that ensures that you never go back to the emotional and physical traps that have made you so unhappy. One of the best days of my life was the day I smashed my scale. I loved it so much, I think we should all do it. And to make rejecting diet culture even more exciting, I'm giving away free advice and prizes, including a full year of body kindness coaching with me. So to join, visit bodykindnessbook.com/BK Scale Smash. That's bodykindnessbook.com/BK Scale Smash. There you give your name and email and you'll get the motivational coaching from me. Lots of ideas for how you can participate right there on the page. And I look forward to joining you all summer long while we work together to just tell the world that we don't need scales, we don't need judgment, we don't need criticism. What we need is body kindness. I'm so excited to bring you this show today about aha moments with my guest, Alexis Joseph. She's a fellow registered dietitian and nutritionist and a blogger and a restaurateur and a very interesting person. There are a few years between us in age, but we share a connection in Ohio. And she went to Ohio State and I'm from Ohio. And we also have some differences as well. So it's a really interesting conversation about opening up your eyes and no matter where you're at, accepting yourself and making bold choices to move forward. So when my eyes opened, I was a chronic dieter. I was helping clients with weight loss and I realized what I was doing wasn't working. But the way I left chronic dieting was very different because diet culture was different. So on the one hand, it was easy for me to stop drinking all these diet shakes or beverages or eating these heavily processed, tasteless diet foods. And today's diet culture is about quality and purity and wholesomeness, like to a degree of illness, really. It's rigid, it's inflexible. So I'm talking Whole30, paleo. I'm talking when people say they're vegan, but they're not using it for moral or ethical reasons, beliefs, but as a reason to restrict. And all of this is veiled in the idea that you should be working on your appearance, that you can live forever if you eat this way, and that will, of course, either make you skinny or help you from becoming fat. So I just wanted to point out before we get into the conversation that the point of this show is to really open up your eyes to how you can move forward, because that epiphany can be scary and intimidating. I think this will help anyone who is realizing that their life is no longer working for them and they want to try to find a way out. And I think it will also help other registered dietitians, fitness experts, or other helping professionals, because we do talk about what it's like to be helping other folks move along. I really want you to try to avoid listening to what I do, what I share I do, or what Alexis shares that she does around food, and try to compare yourself. We just do that as human nature, but that would be missing the point of this chat. It's really about personal preference. And so I might be a super flexible, eat whatever you want kind of eater. And there's a way that I trust my choices and overall balance. And Alexis has preferences that are more toward vegetarian, pescatarian, but she also eats what she wants. And, even if our framework for how we eat might look a little bit different, or even if it sounds like to you that we might be in two different places, like the whole point is to recognize that that's okay. And it's about being where you're at and taking that next important step that you believe creates a better life. So I hope you enjoy the show, and leave a comment or ask a question. You can email me at rebecca@bodykindnessbook.com. Because real health is about being good to yourself. It's time for Body Kindness, the place where all bodies fit and weight is just a number. Hi, I'm Rebecca Scritchfield, author of the book Body Kindness, registered dietitian, nutritionist, and host of this podcast. My topic today is aha moments, when they happen, why they're meaningful, and how they can help you move forward and creating a better life. This topic is important to body kindness because everyone has a wake-up call. And even when you're deeply embedded in diet culture, at some point it hits you, your eyes are open, and you realize that what you're doing is no longer helpful and no longer in line with who you are or who you want to become. And this is hard to face. Our inner critic voice will pop up, making us feel like crap for past mistakes. Or you also might be confused or maybe even ambivalent. You might see reasons to change and reasons not to change. I know that definitely happened with me. And it's likely that the fear of change and uncertainty can keep you from taking action, which can get in the way of real progress in life. And this is true whether you're trying to break up with dieting and body bashing yourself, or if you're a helping professional who just realized enough is enough. My special guest to discuss aha moments and wake-up calls today is Alexis Joseph. Alexis is a nationally recognized nutritionist and media personality specializing in nutrition communications and intuitive eating. She founded Homo-Sapien, a multifaceted food, wellness, and lifestyle website in 2011, and she co-founded Alchemy Juice Bar and Cafe in Columbus, Ohio in 2014. Alexis also works as a writer, speaker, and nutrition consultant for food brands and commodity boards. Welcome to the show, Alexis.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Well, to get us started, tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you're currently doing.
Yeah, of course. So the work I'm mostly doing right now is largely the restaurant industry. So obviously I'm a dietitian. That's my nutrition is my home, but my career right now is very restaurant focused. So obviously I founded Alchemy here in Columbus a couple years ago, and we're now actually about a few days out from opening our newest concept on Ohio State's campus, my alma mater actually. It's called Trism, and it is a concept that's inspired by Alchemy, really bringing wholesome, approachable, accessible food and drink to campus, and it's actually combined with a bar and an event space. So we'll get into this later, I'm sure, but it really speaks to kind of my transition as a dietitian and looking at health to be a lot more holistic beyond looking at health as eating your fruits and vegetables. It's having a cocktail at night. It's, a vibrant social environment. It's a positive mindset, and it's a sense of balance. So the newest restaurant is actually very in line with how I've kind of changed my counseling, because I do nutrition counseling with clients on site at Alchemy as well, in addition to running my blog.
Cool. Well, I don't know if we talked about this, but I'm from Ohio. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, and I visit CBUS on the regular because my best friend lives there, and it's a great area.
Yeah, it is. It's really growing. It's like it's a big hot spot for restaurants. So we're really excited with where the concepts are going, and doing unique things, integrating healthcare and food that no one really is doing in the city. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome, and especially for college students too. I mean, they need really good energy, right? Really good. It's not always easy, it's not always easy if you're really on top of your sort of nutrition guidance to daily get your vitamins and minerals, but especially, I mean, I went to college in Michigan, and I'm thinking of we had our dining hall that was less than stellar and Taco Bell, but there were no green juices. And people want that comfort food too. It's nice when you can, make delicious food good for you without necessarily maybe being concerned with every bite of food that passes your mouth, which, as we know, might not be the healthiest thing in the world.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you said that. Actually, we kind of pride ourselves on being that fun, spunky cafe, and it's called Alchemy Juice Bar Cafe, but we always joke that we actually just dropped that tagline, and we're now just calling ourselves Alchemy. We're kind of a cafe that serves juice, but we're the juice bar that has donuts, and we make wholesome food fun. We don't we're very big on approachability, so we don't throw buzzwords in people's face, because we really just want people to enjoy their food, and it's kind of a nice afterthought that, oh yeah, this is going to make me feel good and fuel me too. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to fill the listeners in on how we came to know each other. And I want to say it was through Facebook. kind of like when I really started to pay attention to what you were doing. Somebody who I can't remember which Facebook friend it was, but a Facebook friend had shared a certain blog post that you wrote, and I started reading it through Facebook, and I was like, wow, this is good. So I clicked through and read the whole thing. It was the post you wrote called "I Have Been Changed for Good." And yeah, I'm sure you're familiar.
That's a big one.
So I pulled a couple parts from it that I'd like to read. I'll share the link to the full post in the show notes, of course, but I pulled a couple excerpts to get our conversation going. So you had started the blog, with this great title. I mean, who doesn't want to read "I Have Been Changed for Good"? It was, it was very interesting to me. So I'm going to pull us in where you say, let's rewind for a second and reflect on the loss of purpose. I feel like 2016 was the year of hyper-focusing on healthy eating. I watched so many women fall madly and deeply in love with healthy food like I did 5 years ago, but something was different. They took it a step too far. They went from health conscious to health obsessed. There were orthorexia red flags everywhere. People in my very profession, dietitians, people in school for nutrition, people blogging in the healthy recipes you make at home, were emailing me asking for help with their eating disorders. Who am I? What have we become? Did I fuel this problem? Are these social networks a platform for disordered eating? Do I even want to eat this way? Are we as healthy living bloggers perpetuating orthorexia? Is my blog fueling the fire? So big reflection, big epiphany. That looked like a big aha moment for you. Tell me what was happening, what was going on in your mind that kind of led to this blog post?
Yeah. And the great thing about this change is that it was so organic. Like it kind of hit me smack in the face. So I was actually on another podcast. My friend Zavita from the Healthy Maven, she asked me a question. The theme of the podcast was balancing alchemy and the blog and all these things and multiple bits. And she noticed my content had started to shift. And she asked me straight up, do you feel like we contributed to this problem with, the over obsession with healthy eating, orthorexia, whatever you want to call it? And I heard her ask me that. And I immediately said yes. And I don't know that I'd said that out loud. I'd been mulling it over in my head, like how have I contributed to this thing that I now kind of really despise? And I really took a step back and thought, whoa, I need to not so much publicly apologize for me or for anyone else. I didn't want it to come off like I was blaming anyone because it's not anyone's fault. I really just wanted to bring to the surface an aha moment. I wanted to share my aha moment so that everyone else could step back and feel what I felt. And be like, whoa, am I in too deep here? Because what she's describing is exactly what I'm feeling. And I think a lot of people, and I know from the comments and the emails and the texts of people crying after they read this, that they were like, okay, I got to take a step back. I'm in too deep here. So, it really started from that question. And I get very passionate about things. And as soon as she asked me that, I was like, I got to turn this around and I need to explain how I feel about all this because I am someone that people look up to in the world of healthy eating. And what I portray is what a lot of people follow. So I turned this ship around real quick and I've never been happier with what the content I'm putting out.
So let me ask you this. Was there that sort of kind of like, this is the way I like to live my life and everything like that, but then this layer of, oh, but you're also a dietitian, you're a nutrition expert, and you own this restaurant, right? So to live the brand, to be a worthwhile dietitian, to be known and to be good at what you do, there's a certain label that you have to follow, and then that no longer sat with you correctly? Or how would you explain it?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to that question, but I think I really felt like I no longer see the beauty in portraying this like typical, oh, you're a dietitian and you own a juice bar and you eat perfectly, which I never have been that way. And I felt like what I was portraying, because honestly, I was in the deep end of healthy eating myself. I've never had an eating disorder, but I got obsessed with plant-based. I mean, obsessed to the point where, it was just my life to, oh no, I don't eat cheese. I don't, let me tell you, nothing makes me feel bad. I could eat an elephant and I'd be like, I feel amazing. Like I
That's me too, by the way. Like no food bothers me, which I love. love.
Yeah,
but
it's a blessing. I mean, except alcohol, I'll tell you that. Alcohol kills me, but it doesn't stop me from drinking. So, I got head over my heels in love with plant-based diets. And given I'm still definitely a big proponent of plant-based diets to prevent chronic disease, that said, me being a very young, healthy female, I did not need to be so stringent and strict with what I was doing. And I was promoting to clients, plant-based diets and really clean eating. And I'd see women for weight loss. And I was just like, I lost so much meaning in that. I don't want to meet with people and tell them how to go plant-based and how to help them lose weight or how to be this picture of perfect health. And I just, I no longer counsel that way at all. I did a 180. I counsel on eating intuitively. I counsel on finding food freedom. And I primarily work with women with eating disorders now. So I just really lost interest in the way I used to really look at nutrition as a whole. And I stopped counseling that way. And I stopped, I changed my brand, which I think a lot of people, I know people that wouldn't put on the public sphere, like the egg sandwich they ate because they think that their followers would disown them. And it's nothing against them. There's a lot of validity to that fear. We create a brand for ourselves and we box ourselves in, and then we aren't living our own lives truthfully because of some monster we created for ourselves, and it just doesn't make any sense. So I thought, screw that. I'm going to start posting the egg and cheese sandwich I had for breakfast. I wasn't hiding it before. I just wasn't eating it before. And I was like, I need people to know I am not vegan. Again, this is not like anything against anyone that's vegan. I don't want it to come off that way, but I lost meaning with that, and I felt it wasn't suiting me. So I wanted that to be very congruent on all of my social media outlets. I started posting more articles on Facebook about, from my friends Kylie Mitchell and Robin Cole about intuitive eating, about satisfaction versus fullness, about all these things, and really showing my readers like this is the direction I'm going. And I felt like the turning point. I got asked to do a post. I do a lot of sponsored blog posts. I work with brands, and I got asked to do a post with this product that, was like this like banana chocolate milk product. And I never posted dairy on the blog. And I was like, are my readers going to leave me hate mail? Or my house going to get TP'd for posting this? And I was like, this is fate. I am being asked to do this out of my comfort zone right when this turning point is happening, and I'm going to do it. I did it. I made a decadent bread pudding recipe with this milk that wasn't unsweetened almond milk. And lo and behold, no one complained. People made it and loved it. And I was like, this is me. This is life. Like, I eat this stuff and you should too. And I hope you don't box yourself in just because I used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God. There are so many. You've given me like 25 ways where I could take this, but the way you ended it is liberation, right? And
liberation.
Yeah. And that's an important word because when people have an aha moment, they don't necessarily see that full sense of liberation right with the aha moment. It's just kind of like step one, my eyes are open. I'm no longer comfortable with where I'm going. But like, I know for me, it was like, I was the biggest weight loss perpetuator, dietitian, like the biggest offender. I had trackers before Fitbits were out. And I was like, I'm going to watch you, and it's like, and so to wake up and to realize, oh my gosh, I am part of a problem. And then you don't really yet know what to do. I think it's very scary, but then also to be open, like you were open and say, you know what, let me take a risk. And even if that means like, if you try to please everybody, you're pleasing nobody. Right. And so
change doesn't happen sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Go.
What you said, it resonates with me so strongly. I have never been someone to sit back and like go with the flow. I am not in the camp of people that's like, everyone be nice to everyone and everything will be fine. Change does not happen by sitting still. And that's what I say. Like, I put stuff on the media that some people are like, they get upset about it because maybe it looks like you're, if I put an article about someone who's crazy fear mongering about some drink, and then you get feedback that, oh, well, you should just like let people do their thing. And I really believe that you need to speak out for what you believe is right. And if you don't, then change will never happen. And that's why, I always use this extreme example, like slavery ended because people spoke up because it wasn't right. And like in the time, no one sees it's right. And no one can imagine life being any different. But a few good people spoke up, and now we have freedom. And now we have these things that we're really lucky to have. So I think in the moment, it's really hard to, break a mold that you feel maybe comfort and safety in, but comfort is not, I don't want to live a mediocre life. I want to break the mold, and I want to do things that, are outside of my comfort zone to make change happen.
Yeah. So the other thing that is real important to realize too when you have this aha moment is that not having all the answers is highly, highly likely. I mean, I don't know whenever we have all the answers. So that sort of uncertainty can be difficult to follow. But then also this idea of realizing, and this also happened to me, but it's just like, I may have my own work to do in this area, but I can still move forward in the direction that I know is right and is more free and is more not just positive, but like healthy for your well-being. So it's like, you have readers and people who follow what you do. And so to be able to tell your truth and share other great content, even if the fear is like, might I lose people? Or, like, I don't know how this is going to shape what I'm doing. But you don't really see who you're going to reach and how it is going to impact them until you take those steps and actually start doing something that's more in line with the kind of person you're trying to be.
Right. And, I think what you're alluding to is it can be, it's a risk, and risk is not always very comfortable. And I definitely had a lot of, I tripped and I fell along the way. I know a lot of what I promoted was encouraging not just healthcare professionals and dietitians, but there's a lot of people on Instagram that are big healthy eating gurus that, don't have credentials, and a lot of people looking for advice, which is totally fine. But I really try to encourage them. I was like, show your true colors. Post the cookie you had last night, post the drinks, because, let's create an environment where it's just more realistic and more approachable for people, and not so stringent on being this obsession with this increasing orthorexia. That's this new norm is, the norm is disordered eating. So, I saw this exponential increase on social media, people posting, these realistic times and these different foods. And that's what got me through the hard times when I felt like I was, having an identity crisis. I was like, at the end of the day, this isn't about me. This is about this huge problem. I'm just trying to be an advocate to help end it. And I think that that's what kept me going, is that I knew I was making a positive difference, because I said this in the post, I thrive on meaning, and I lost meaning in what I was doing. So I was like, how can I regain that? And how can I get this tribe of people to, just be themselves and not feel like they can't share it with the world for fear of being judged for not being the healthiest person on the feed,
Yeah, no, I totally know what you mean. Well, and that's part of human nature, social comparison. We tend to compare and despair. We tend to compare up, right? So you look at these photos, these highlight reels of how you think people are living their life. And I mean, there's always an agenda, like Gwyneth Paltrow being on Jimmy Kimmel and admitting that, like,
oh my God, that was the best.
I know. She's like, I don't know what we write. And the sad part is people will still subscribe to Goop. They'll still buy her stuff. And It is a marketing money machine. But it all comes back down to the individual. Are you living the kind of life you want? Are you living a good life? And as kind of diet culture and beauty culture thrives off of us not feeling good about ourselves. And I think definitely as helping professionals, I mean, we subscribe to a code of ethics. It's supposed to be science-based. But we also have to ask ourselves, like you did in that first part of the expert, am I causing harm? Am I part of the problem? And be brave and willing to look at that and then decide, the types of changes that we might need to make. I have a question for you, because you had mentioned plant-based earlier, and this is something that just, I'm always scratching my head. Like, I honestly feel like plant-based has developed a new meaning, maybe as a part of diet culture, but I have always thought plant-based to mean that, like, the base of your meal is plants. And so it wasn't that there was no meat allowed or dairy products allowed. But the way you said it, and the way I see so many other people, their plant-based is now completely exchangeable for either vegetarian or vegan. So, and is that right? Like, is that the cultural message, and is that accurate?
Yeah, I think that plant-based has become such a nice word that I use myself as well, because it doesn't box you in. I'm plant-based. Largely, I eat vegetarian and vegan foods. that said, if I'm going to go eat Jenny's ice cream or an egg sandwich or I eat fish, like it's like I'm going to eat whatever the hell I want. Yeah, I'm plant-based. When I used to say I was vegan for a very short time in college, the second I wanted something else, I would get judged for it. I thought people love to come up to me and be like, wait, are you vegan? I thought you were vegan. Like they'd love to catch me when and I was like, why am I in this conundrum of labeling myself and really, again, boxing myself in? But yeah, plant-based is what a lot of people have moved towards saying. And I am still that way. But what changed with me is that I opened my eyes and thought, okay, what are the foods I'm still not eating that I want? So when I was vegan, I was like, I really want to eat eggs. I really want to eat fish. Do I crave chicken? No. So I started eating fish, started eating eggs, and that's how I live my life now. And dairy was one thing that I just really didn't do. And that's when I got into intuitive eating, I questioned, okay, why am I not eating dairy? Because I think I shouldn't, because it's so demonized. And I said, screw it. I'm going to eat a bunch of Siggy's yogurt and I'm going to get cheese on my egg sandwich if I want it. And, if I eat a ton of cheese, like my tummy won't feel amazing, but I can eat yogurt or get a little cheese here or there and feel totally fine. And I like it. So I've really gotten to a place where, I'll test if I get a craving for something, I'll try it. For example, we went to an event, like a steak dinner event. And I told them, I was like, I don't eat steak, but I'll happily eat all the fish, whatever. My boyfriend was like, you have to try the steak. Like it's the best steak you'll ever have. And I'm not one to like miss out on an opportunity. So I hadn't eaten meat in probably since sophomore year of college. I don't even know how long ago that was, like 7 years. I took a bite and I hated it. Used to love steak. I hated it. I spit it out. I was like, it tastes disgusting to me. That was a big milestone for me because I tried it and could say wholeheartedly, I just didn't enjoy that and I'm not going to eat it. Had I loved the steak, I would have been like, oh my God, this tastes amazing. Like, why am I plant-based? I freaking love this steak. So really, for me, it's moved into an openness to try things and kind of step outside of that zone of the things I shouldn't be eating. This is me. This is not the world. Like, I don't need the world telling me, what I shouldn't eat. How can I get back to me and what makes me feel best and what tastes best and not be so stringent based on, again, the shoulds that I tell my clients not to live by. So obviously, I want to be practicing what I'm preaching, and that's kind of what's happened.
Okay. So what would your message be to people, whether they're a helping professional, a follower of yours, or even just someone whose eyes are opening, but they're afraid of taking steps to change their ways?
I would want them to know that there is so much life to live that you might not realize you're missing out on, and find the love and the joy in rediscovering who you are at your core, not who the media says you should be, not who your Instagram role models tell you to be. Get back to your roots as if technology were to shut off for a week and we had no access. Get back to you, find what you love, and aspire to be in control of that again. Because I think we've all lost control of what we want because everything is so externally based. What we eat is an external decision. There's just so much externally. It's like we've lost our internal compass, I feel.
Yeah. One of the things that people don't realize about even like beyond, well, it's basically behavior changes, right? And it really is a mindset shift. And really in order to make that type of transformation, beyond the fear of, well, what will people think? You're talking about a shift in your identity. And that happens when you work on changing your belief system. And so it's a very difficult hump to get over because, our beliefs are just tightly held. They're close to our hearts. They're how we kind of move about in the world. And so knowing that you will have uncomfortable opportunities, but like you were saying, you had an experience and you learned from that experience, and that helped inform like your next set of choices that ultimately we end up feeling more comfortable with the new version of ourselves as we work on changing our mindset and our philosophy, our belief systems, and our values for the kind of life we want to live. And certainly intuitive eating is a belief system, body kindness is a belief system, that kind of, you never accomplish it, right? You kind of, it's something that you work toward in life. And, so I would tell people also, don't expect it to be easy and expect to have many more questions than answers, but certainly with the help of somebody who's been there, whether it's a dietitian asking fellow dietitian peers or somebody going to see a dietitian who does work in intuitive eating, who can help you along the way. I think those things are going to be really important because, you're still going to be living in a body and appearance obsessed culture of dieting that says, hey, this extreme way of eating is actually healthy and good for you. And you mentioned the specialty drinks, like the unicorn type drinks is the first thing that came to my mind. That is just, it's a personal choice whether or not you have the drink. But if you're out there trying to shame people for this idea, judging food and judging people based off of what's out there in the world, it's like, you got to open up your eyes a little bit bigger. The real world eats a lot of different kinds of things. Not everything has a health halo, and you just got to do what feels good to you. But I don't know. I just think there's this whole other thing where as a health expert, you're supposed to be there to help people with where they're at, not push your agenda on them.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, that's a huge thing. And I think that you mentioning progression, there's not one appointment where I don't spend at least 2 minutes talking about how falling in love with yourself again and finding food freedom is like breaking up with a boyfriend. You'll have the bad days where you go back. You'll have the bad days where you think you're never going to get through it. Then you get through it and it's the best thing that ever happened to you. And I think that it's largely also being cognizant that change is not just good. Change is normal. Like, you are not the same person you were in high school. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago when I started my blog. I had to go through my about section of my blog and delete every single word. I had written on my blog that I'm an ingredient detective, and I was so disgusted. I was like, I could not delete it fast enough. I was mortified, but that was me 5 years ago. I'm not ashamed of my past. I don't go back and delete. I actually got asked by a reader. She said, you shouldn't be writing about, I had an old blog post that said 5 questions not to ask a vegan. And she commented on it and said, you should delete this. You don't know anything about how to talk to vegans, which is ironic because as a healthcare professional, I do know how to talk to vegans. But I'm not ashamed of my past. I learned from my past, and it's okay to change, and it's admirable to change. It's a part of life. You grow up, you learn things you didn't know before, and it might seem daunting at first. It's like breaking up with your high school boyfriend. It's all you know, but you get through it, and you will have never, you feel happier than ever before.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good advice, and it's just like, you've got to take some initial steps and then use the information to help guide you to like what that next thing is going to be. Any other pieces of advice specifically for dietitians or fitness experts or other helping professionals, like to truly embrace, if we're going to help people have a healthy mind and body, like what is it that we need to do to help people truly achieve a healthy well-being?
It's so hard because I feel like we have this awesome growing body of healthcare professionals that are embracing this new way of thinking, something that is not at all taught in school. It's not so micronutrition centric. And what I'm still struggling with is how to kind of get the broader message out. But what I would recommend to people, because I see a lot of people and I'm like, okay, that was me 5 years ago. And you're in your own lane. It's what you know and it's what you think is right. So I would just challenge everyone to look at their content and ask themselves, am I spreading the right message? And ask yourself, what is the right message? And it's different for everyone, but is eating super clean, with these stringent guidelines, a really big harp on weight loss, is that health and wellness? I mean, I would say no, and it's different for everyone, but do we want to live in a society that's just years past and everyone is just struggling with the same, weight loss? I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. I need to look this way. And is that really what we want to be promoting? I hope not. But I think that I wish every dietitian and every healthcare professional would be required to read the book Intuitive Eating and just really all these, your book especially. Everyone needs to just open their eyes a little bit, and it takes practice and it takes experience. So I know meeting, Kylie and Robin really opened my eyes, reading the books. Really, I tell my clients, like, you need to surround yourself with positive, inspiring messaging. You need to go through your Instagram feed. You need to unfollow all these hyper clean eating accounts, all these people that you look at and feel worse about yourselves. And you need to go follow people that lift you up and that set a message of balance and health in a whole new way that's not focused on kale and broccoli and whatever, that looks at health as your social life or these other things that are, happiness. I always tell my clients, we as a society are so used to measuring things and having these numbers, whether it's your Fitbit or calories, or your weight. You cannot measure how good you feel when you go to breakfast with your best friend, or when you go on a bike ride and you hear the birds chirp. Those amazing moments that raise your self-esteem and your happiness, and they make you live longer because your mind is in a good place. We can't measure those, and it makes it difficult for us to, remember how important they are in that way. We undervalue things we cannot strictly measure or that we can't monetize. Even as a dietitian who works with brands, it's very hard to step out of the monetization box and think, what value can I attribute to things that straight up make me happy versus it's going to make me this much money? Like, there's a big, big difference there. And our society struggles with things we cannot correlate with, immediate instant gratification. It will make me this much money and it will make me this much skinnier, happier, whatever it is. So it's like getting back to basics. It's like, what really makes you happy, and how do you foster that through your own community?
Yeah. I mean, it's very important words of wisdom. I mean, I believe, just as an entrepreneur who's been doing this for years, I would say there's two key things. I always learn best from my quote unquote failures. I actually keep a Word document called failures, and it's not like a judgment where every little thing, but stuff happens all the time. Like, you don't get a spokesperson thing. You don't get accepted to do a certain speaking thing, or there was a goal that you had set that you just did not achieve. And for me, putting it aside gives it a container and a place that I can acknowledge that, real life is not all about always getting everything you want. And when I make mistakes, which I think, I would say that's my big piece of advice to dietitians, is that you're human. You're going to make mistakes, whether your eyes are open, you realize you made mistakes in the past, or you're going forward and you're going to go forward and make mistakes, but you still keep doing that work. So, I think those things are really important. And then also, I would say for dietitians is that we have to keep looking at the weight loss issue. We have to study more and more the idea of how bodies are size diverse, and that clients are going to come to us asking for weight loss and wanting weight loss because diet culture deems it so. So it's not about just answering the client's question when they come in the door. It's about meeting them where they're at, which very well may be a weight loss focus. I still have people who come to me, even though I've changed my site to say weight concerns, and talk about my approach. I still have people coming to me with the idea, the desire to lose weight. It's about being able to sit with them without desire, while you can, in kind and compassionate ways, help them understand the difference between habits and appearance, and the difference between health and well-being and weight and shape. And that means us understanding diet culture, which we are not going to get in nutrition school. We're going to get all the weight loss focused stuff, but us understanding diet culture and the push, the next nudge, which I've been learning from guests on Body Kindness podcast and conversations, that is really about supporting the movement of not just body positivity, but also fat acceptance. So anything from reclaiming the term fat, as people have fat and some people are fat, and that is not a judgment or criticism. That should, diet culture tells us to hurl that as an insult or a slur, right? But that it was Jess Baker on her podcast interview with me. She said, you're really not going to eradicate diet culture unless you're also working to promote fat acceptance, because diet culture thrives off this idea that we should always be telling us that the most important thing we should do is focus on weight loss. And that's very twisted when we're dietitians, when we've been taught weight loss, and when the word diet is in our name, and when clients come asking for it, and we do want to be helpful. So, I think that that's a push for, everyone to realize, is that if you are in this space wanting to help people, you will have people who come in a large body, and just by refusing to promote weight loss and instead help them focus on their habits is reducing eating disorders, is maybe helping to identify disordered eating and promote recovery. And, I just think that as many more dietitians have these aha moments to really do that work and try to figure out how you can be the most helpful, because they will struggle with accepting themselves, because our whole culture says you should not accept your appearance. And to your point about riding the bike and hearing the birds and going to breakfast with a friend, every day can be a struggle for a person in a large body who is constantly being told that there is something wrong with you.
Yeah, no, I think that's you talked about so much. And I get a lot of emails from RDs to be, and they're confused. I was never exposed to this in college. So I'm like, just be glad you're hearing this now before you're actually a dietitian and don't have to redo how you counsel. But I think a lot of people are a little confused because, you don't learn about a lot of things in nutrition school, mainly entrepreneurship and intuitive eating and all these, body positivity. But I'm just glad that there's a movement going that hopefully, a lot of young RDs can see also really like the beauty in imperfection. You mentioned, being okay with being imperfect. No one wants to see perfection from anyone. I mean, imperfection is beautiful. Imperfection is just not that fun. We say progress, over perfection, right? So you want to be, I harp on like relatability and approachability so much with my clients and with Alchemy even too. And really showing people that we're all human and that's good. It's not like, I'm human, crap, I overdrank and overate tonight, but I'm human. Like, celebrate it. Like, I'm alive. And yeah, some days I eat more than others and it's not a mistake. It's like, I had a really damn good cookie and I wanted another. Was I hungry? No, but that's okay. You know what I mean? So the more I think, what's the word? Just like transparency and like real life and not trying to live up to this brand that people probably don't even really, it's probably making more people feel a little worse than it is inspiring people if you're painting this picture of perfection that doesn't exist. So yeah.
Transparency and authenticity.
Authenticity. Yes, that's the word. Yeah. Authenticity, which is hard. That is not easy. But I'm 27 and I have been a dietitian since I finished grad school in 2014. So, I spent a few years counseling in a way that I totally no longer resonate with, but I don't spend time worrying about things I did in the past. I'm just learning them. And I'm like, I did that this way then, and I'm proud that I do it this way now. And don't demonize your past, just learn from it.
And you have many, many, many more years where you can create a lot of good in the world. And I just know you're going to do amazing things. I'm so grateful that you wrote that blog, and there are others I'll send in the show notes. I just wanted to thank you for being on today. Can you share with listeners where people can go to connect with you and find out more about your work?
Yes, of course. Thank you. So my website is homosapien.com. I'm also on Instagram at homosapien. You can find me on my Facebook page, homosapien. Twitter is the homosapien because there's apparently an OG homosapien out there on Twitter. And alchemyjuicecafe.com is Alchemy's website, and we are on social media as well. So follow along. Can't wait to meet new people.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Of course. Thanks so much, Rebecca.
And that's our show. Thank you so much for listening. I would love if you could take a minute and leave a rating and review on iTunes. I know they don't make it very easy, so I have a few quick tips for you. First, launch the Apple Podcast app, and then you're going to click the search button to enter the name Body Kindness, and you'll find my podcast. You'll see the album art. And when you click on the album art, there is going to be a button in the middle at the top. It's called Reviews. Click that, and then when you scroll to the bottom, you will see an option to leave a review. And so you'll click that button and go ahead and write your thoughts. I also would love ideas for future episodes. You can email me, Rebecca@bodykindnessbook.com. Again, that's Rebecca@bodykindnessbook.com. I love chatting about the show and how it's helpful. And so keep those emails coming. And also, if you're not yet completed with the e-course, don't forget that's a free resource for anyone who's interested in practicing body kindness. If you visit bodykindnessbook.com and click on Get Started, just enter in your name and email and you'll get instant access. I'll see you there.